Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Magic Duels. My name is Thelona, and we're here with, I think this is Naya? Is it? Yes. No, not is it? Naya. Naya. Okay. Well, it's a Naya I hate everything deck, and I want everyone else to feel the same pain as me deck. This is not the deck I promised. The deck that kicked my ass that I mentioned in the last video didn't pan out. It was a mono blue improvised deck, and I tried, and it just wouldn't do anything. So I fell back to this one, which I had previously built like about a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, or something like, I don't know. Anyways, so it's built so that you have to you have an answer for pretty much everything. So yeah, pretty good in that regard. So I just kind of have a balance of just about everything in here. And yeah, it's a little heavy in the planeswalker side of things, but yeah, whatever. This is the closest I will probably get to Super Friends. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, first up, Walking Ballista for XX enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can pay 4 to put a counter on them, and you can remove a counter to do 1 damage to a creature or player. So it's just meant for late game, I win, mostly. With the options in this deck, I don't see them for any other purpose than a late game, I win. Next up, Oath of Nissa for green is a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker from among them. Put 1 in your hand and the rest on your bottom of your library. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast planeswalker spells. So it's just meant to make sure our 3-color stuff becomes 1 color for the planeswalkers, and it also fetches our lands or creatures or what have you. You know, Oath into a Walking Ballista late game sort of thing is not a bad thing. Early game, land maybe, unless you find a pristine like Gideon or anything like that. Next up, Oath of Chandra. I said it was a hate deck, so yes, this Oath is going in there. For 2 mana, is a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, deals 3 damage to target creature an opponent controls. At the beginning of each end step, if a planeswalker enters the battlefield under your control this turn, this does 2 damage to each opponent, or redirectable to planeswalkers, which I've already done, which is kind of fun. And killed off Big Chandra on the opposing side in a very grim battle. Anyways, Oath of Ajani is the next one for green and a white. Is also legendary enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Less likely to happen, but planeswalker spells you cast cost 1 less to cast is also the very relevant part. So it can go on some things like, you know, slap a counter on this, or I've had one game where they had one of those, and so I just tossed it on a Rex Sage. He was saving it for my Chandra that was about to ultimate, but whatever. Whatever. It's a thing. Force him to have more decisions, and I beat down his life total instead. But still, make your creatures bigger for how many creatures? We have 10 in the deck, but so it's not the thing that we're going to save up for necessarily, but the mana cost is relevant to us. Next up is Blessed Alliance for 2 mana. Is an instant with Escalate 2 and 3 modes for those escalates. And the modes are target player gains 4 life, or untap up to 2 target creatures. I just ate, and I ate a lot. A little, yeah. Which really isn't going to happen too much, but it can come up. And then the third mode, which its primary use is for target opponents sacrifice an attacking creature. So with all our removal in here, Blessed Alliance can be a more focused targeting thing to clear some other stuff. Next up, Harness Lightning. And for red and colorless instant, you can choose target creature, you get 3 energy counters, then you may pay any amount of energy, and Harness Lightning deals that much damage to that creature. So, it's just the idea of these are the vehicle target spells, basically, in a nutshell. They're there, 6 for them, and to cover that, and then, you know, 3 Rex Sages to cover, making 9 things that can, right here, in the early game to deal with vehicles. Next up is Declaration in Stone. This is for the go wide or anything that's really irritating, or Ulamog. Really irritating, I suppose, qualifies. Yeah. So, for 2 mana sorcery, exile target creature and all creatures its controller controls with the same name as that creature. That player investigates for each non-token creature exiled that way. So, yeah, we're giving them clues unless they're tokens, but like I said, go wide strategies or really, really annoying stuff. You gotta obviously pick and choose. Next up is Thalia, Heretic Cathar. For 3 mana, it's a 3/2 legendary human soldier with first strike, and creatures and non-basics your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. So it can slow down your opponent to get yourself set up in that regards, or just, you know, eat removal, however you want to have it go. It'll slow down their lands, it'll slow down their creatures, give you time to set up planeswalkers because their creatures are coming in tapped, that kind of thing. Next up is Nissa Vastwood Seer. She's a 2/2 legendary elf, and when she comes into play, you can fetch a forest from your library, put it in your hand, and whenever a land enters the battlefield, if you control 7 or more, she flips into Nissa Sage Animist. Her +1 draws you cards. If they're lands, it ramps. -2 makes a 4/4, and the -7 wins you the game. And then 3 copies of Rex Sage, 2/1 for 3, enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Again, just kill all the things. The whole deck is meant to hate everything. Speaking of which, 2 copies of Radiant Flames for 3 mana with Converge, deals X damage to each creature with X number of colors spent to cast Radiant Flames. So it can board wipe some White Weenie kind of stuff, or any creature-based decks that run low on the toughness. This was not my hate card, this was just because it's annoying. That's the only reason. So Gisela the Broken Blade for 4 mana is a 4/3 flying first strike lifelink, and the second part's not relevant. It's just a very annoying card to really, really hurt your opponent, or make them have to have the answer for it. It can buy you some time with its lifelink. If it stays out, it can win you with air dominance. So take your pick on how it goes, but it's probably going to get removed or be a high priority. Next up for high priorities, Gideon Ally of Zendikar. Wow, every Gideon fan's going to hate me. For 4 mana, is a 4 loyalty planeswalker, or +1 turns them into a 5/5 indestructible till end of turn, and 0 creates a 2/2 white knight ally, and the -4 creates an emblem that gives all your creatures an anthem. Next up, Chandra Torture of Defiance for 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker. Top ability, exile top card of your library. You may cast the card. If you don't, have Chandra deal 2 damage to each opponent, or redirectable, however you like. The other one is add 2 red to your mana pool for some potential ramp capabilities. And -3 deals 4 damage to target creature. If we're really running low on removal, then we can use her in that fashion. And her -7 wins the game because whenever you cast a spell, it deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Next up is Nahiri the Harbinger. For 4 mana in the form of red and white is 4 loyalty planeswalker. I'm kind of noticing a trend on these 4 mana guys. +2, you may discard a card if you do draw a card, and that helps so nice. -2, exile a target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature, so it's a good way to remove vehicles or any enchantments, say the milling one. Tutelage is a good way to get rid of that. And the -8, search your library for an artifact or creature card, put it on the battlefield, shuffle your library, gains haste, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. That doesn't take too long to do. Honestly, Nahiri goes rather unchecked if they don't see anything relevant to them. So it can really go for a while and run into the -8, in which case, well, the only thing I've brought out with it so far in testing is Gisela, which saved me versus a burn deck. I end of turn, that situation was end of turn Avacyn, ultimate Nahiri to Gisela, activate Manland, and he couldn't handle that. It won. Anyway, so very good card. Oh, breaking the mold, Arlen for 4 mana in the red and green is actually a 3 loyalty planeswalker with the +1 till end of turn. Up to 1 target creature gains +2/+2 and vigilance and haste, which can be strongly relevant in a number of situations. I've had Rex Sages wreck face, and people are like, it's just the Rex Sage. It's already done the damage. I just hit my mic. It's already done the damage. I don't want to block a 4/3 Rex Sage, but they have to. And the 0 ability, put a 2/2 wolf creature token onto the battlefield, and you transformer. Robots in Disguise, Ireland Embraced by the Moon. +1, creatures control get +1/+1 and gain trample till end of turn. So we're probably not going to have the go wide effect that makes that useful. Primarily, from testing, she's just going to use this, and then this create the wolf in emergency and follow up with the second ability here. Ireland Embraced by the Moon deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and then transform her back. Now, yeah, you can see, add the wolf, protect herself, deal 3 damage, protect herself. And the -6, which will never, ever, ever happen. You can read it if you want right now, but I'm never explaining it because it doesn't exist. Everyone knows that. Next up is Archangel Avacyn. For 5 mana is a 4/4 legendary angel with flash flying and vigilance. And when she enters the battlefield, creatures control gain indestructible till end of turn. When a non-angel creature you control dies, transform Archangel Avacyn at the beginning of the next upkeep. Which can happen. We have her and a bunch of weak guys. And turns into Avacyn the Purifier, and has flying, loses some of the other abilities, and when she transforms, she deals 3 damage to each other creature, and each opponent becomes a 6/5, so she can do some wrecking of faces. Next up is Ishkana Graph Widow. For 5 mana is a 3/5 spider, legendary too, I'll say, doing the work. With Reach and with Delirium, when she enters the battlefield, she creates 3 1/2 green spider tokens with Reach as well. And the last one's not relevant. I didn't actually set up for this mana thing, but whatever. Next up, 1 copy of Planar Outburst, because I kind of felt I need more than just Radiant Flames. So for 5 mana, destroy all non-land creatures as a sorcery. And an Awaken ability for 8 mana, you can make one of your lands a 4/4. And 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance, this because it's a little harder to deal with the Super Friends from our perspective here. This is the answer for that, so that we can keep them on the down low. Just, keep them down to 1. We can manage 1. We can kill 1. That kind of thing. So, for each player, you choose from among the permanents that player controls an artifact, creature, enchantment, and planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all non-land permanents he or she controls, whichever order the card wants to read, for 5 mana sorcery. So yeah, it's just meant to put the board into a more manageable state for us. It's a card meant for when we're losing, and so when we're winning, it's whatever in our hand. So who cares? If we're winning, we don't care it's in our hand that much. We'll just win. If we're losing, we're wanting this. Alright, next up, 1 copy of Nissa Vital Force for 5 mana. It's a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Way to go with the trends, Nissa. For +1, untap target land you control. It becomes a 5/5 with haste until the beginning of your next turn. And the -3 returns target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. And the -6, you get an emblem with whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So very good card advantage, very easy to activate. Or if you're in just a winning seat, then you can probably just beat down with a 5/5. Very versatile for situations. I like her very much in this. Speaking of liking some very much, Chandra into the Rebellious slot. For 6 mana is a 4 loyalty planeswalker. The +1 puts 2/3/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste on the battlefield, and then that's just till end of turn. 0 recycles your hand. You discard, then draw that many cards +1. And the -X, she does X damage to each creature. So if we truly need to kill the go wide deck, we can use her. And this guy is in testing phase. I have yet to actually see him pop his face out. He's kind of hiding. He's the Cowardly Lion. A Johnny Unyielding for 6 mana and a green and white for 4 loyalty Planeswalker. Oh, we've got opposing factions here on the Planeswalkers. +2, reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanent cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest onto the bottom of your library in any order. So good way to get some card advantage. We have our fair share of permanent cards. I mean, let's just gloss over real quick. You can see that there's, it's a healthy mix. So we're guaranteed to probably get a good chunk of stuff. Probably a 1 in 3 chance at least. I mean, come on. So, yeah, I mean, if we're going to get at least one card, right, it should be good. -2, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power, so definitely a good way to protect itself, or just slam away an Olamog. If you see the ramp deck or something, they're going to play the Olamog. It's like, all right, I've got a Johnny. We've got exile effects available for all kinds of creatures that might come out. We've got something for all walks of life here. And the -9, well, I don't know if it's even possible, but we'll see when it gets there. I think it's just win more, but we'll see. But 5 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker you control. So that's just win more if you ask me, but hey, why not? Land-based, 3 plains, 2 mountains, 3 forests, 2 Needle Spires, 2 Cinderglade, 2 Canopy Vista, 2 Rootbound Crag, 2 Clifftop Retreat, 2 Sunpetal Grove, and 4 Evolving Wilds. This deck had its original creation time, and I just basically slammed a whole bunch of stuff together, played it out a couple times, realized there was things not quite being used, swapped them out and put some stuff in. That's all I've really done with the deck. Kept testing. I still like it where it's at. I like it a little bit more. Everything still feels like it has a purpose for the most part. So just telling you, I didn't flesh this out over the course of months or anything like that. It's not a perfected deck, so your suggestions are perfectly valid, of course. So go ahead and tell me what kind of things you would prefer in the deck or what you would like. Go ahead and check out the gameplay. And I know I forgot. I have to name the deck. Whoops. All right, well, let's get over to my avatar. There I am. And you know what? I wanted to have the gray brick background that you have, like, right... they're showing it now, but it's just a brick background. But, just stand in front of a gray wall. Just something simple. We'll go in front of the mountain today. I think that'll do. You ask him, why is he doing this? Well, I'm going to name the deck. I think it's appropriate. Let's name it... There, because I have the answers for everything. You have questions? We have answers. There we go. All right. See you in the gameplay. The link is in the description. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.